forget the most important part. To me, it feels pretty natural to have a weapon and a camera. I would not be comfortable going out without a weapon.
If we're picking up a weapon, then we're not doing our job, and we're not documenting them, and they're not going to get the imagery that they need.
I'm always anticipating, but I never guess or I never assume that I'm going to get a shot, but I stay open and I just follow the path and just kind of follow what's going on.
I wasn't looking for the combat experience, but then once I found out that that's where you're going to be taking the best shots, and that's just seemed the most exciting to me, then after that I really wanted to deploy, so I started looking for those options.
If a picture paints 1,000 words, then the men and women of Combat Camera have written more than a few bestsellers. They come from all branches of the military and cover every corner of the globe. Theirs is an assignment that requires them to carry not one, but two weapons, their firearm and their camera. Their mission? To document military activity, from combat operations to bringing their brothers in arms back home. This may look like a forward operating base downrange, but in reality, it's the middle of the Mojave Desert at Fort Irwin, California. This is where military from around the world come to sharpen their skills for the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan.
All right, so let's get ready to gear up.
For Staff Sergeant Jessica Wilkes and Master Sergeant Shane Cuomo of 1st Combat Camera, it's a first-ever opportunity to train in what is affectionately known as the sandbox.
Can't forget the most important part. Where would be the best place to be for right now?
I would say maybe up on a hill. You can kind of see pretty much the whole thing, what's going on.
Okay.
For Sergeant Wilkes, the exercises at Fort Irwin are a chance to expand her skills as a combat camera videographer, skills honed on 2 previous deployments.
All right, hey, let's get ready to roll here.
Roger. My first tour would be more like what they say kinetic. I would go out with an infantry unit, and we would go into a house and clear a house and look for whatever we're looking for. The last tour was more like humanitarian, going out and passing out food to people that needed it, handing over vehicles. I was there when they handed over one of the provinces that I was working in to the Iraqis. So it was more like watching it all be rebuilt. I've seen a drastic change from the beginning until my last time that I went. To me, it feels pretty natural to have a weapon and a camera. I would not be comfortable going out without a weapon because we're expected as well to be able to protect ourselves and, you know, the people with us if we ever need to. And I know that if the situation arises, that I wouldn't have a problem putting down the camera and having to fire back. The people that I've worked with in this unit and the stories I've heard and the things I've seen from them and stuff that I've gotten to do myself, it's amazing. We're full of a bunch of amazing photographers and videographers that go out and, without thinking, do this stuff all the time. They go out and they shoot amazing video and amazing photos and in the worst situations you could possibly imagine. And they come back with this great imagery. And I've never been prouder to be part of any unit than this one.
What I try to do when I go in, unless I'm given a specific task to document, I try to get shots of the individuals.
Master Sergeant Shane Cuomo, a still photographer with 1st Combat Camera, is a veteran of 5 deployments. His images speak volumes as to his passion for detail, history, and mission.
I just try to get shots of what they're doing that kind of shows the story or tells a story of what their mission is. So I try to cover as much as I can within reason. I mean, I couldn't just be standing up during a firefight and trying to get pictures. Sometimes I'd be ducking down and like hold my camera up just in front of somebody, because if I get shot, then that's a problem that they have to deal with, and I try to be as less intrusive as possible. Having the lens in front of you is it kind of desensitizes you a little bit. You're kind of focused on I don't know, composition or exposure and that kind of thing. So for me, yeah, I don't really realize what's going on until maybe afterwards, until maybe I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh, wow, that's what was going on. But there's a disconnect there, why all that craziness is going on, and you have that camera up to your eye and you're trying to do your job. So yeah, it doesn't really bother me at all.
Master Sergeant Cuomo remembers his photos with the same eye for detail as when he captured the image for the first time.
That is the actual Battle of Samara, when those guys rolled in and cordoned off part of the city. And they were getting attacked and they were returning fire. And what the funny thing about that is that the shooting had all stopped, and the commander said, hey, looks like everything's clear. If you want, you can go ahead and get out and get some shots. I say, oh, okay. So I jumped out, and I kind of took my time going around the front of I didn't go in the front of the Bradley, but I walked off to the side of the Bradley. And as I walked off to the side, nothing really went on, so I got a few shots of some Bradleys off in the distance, but with shooting with the night vision, it's not that great. So I turned to shoot our Bradley, and then all hell broke loose. There was all kinds of firing and stuff like that. So I got a few shots off, and then I kind of hit the ground and got back in the Bradley after that, because I was very exposed. That is in ancient Samara. There was a patrol going through that, and I guess they used to hide weapons and things like that, so Army had to go through and patrol all that. So that guy had gone up the tower and was checking to see if there was any weapons stashed or anything like that, and then I saw him coming down, so I just waited and waited and waited until then I got the shot. That was ancient Samara, and they were actually getting ready to mount up to go back home, and yeah, I just saw that moment. I was like, wow, that'd be a great silhouette shot. You know, I saw the sun was going down, and yeah, it was just, yeah, it was a very peaceful moment. And plus, it was like towards the end of the day, the mission was over, and it had been an all-day mission, so I still had to get back and edit and all that. So I was like, very fitting for closing. I grew up in the Air Force, and I had actually met a combat cameraman in Italy, where I grew up. And I talked about maybe joining the Air Force as graphics, because I really liked art. I was into drawing and stuff. And said, don't do that. You want to be a photographer. You want to go combat camera. You want to be a photographer. So I did. So I spent about 5 years at base level with, you know, I had really great supervisors and just really good mentors that really pushed me and, you know, encouraged me to go to combat camera. And so that's what I always wanted to do since I came in. And so when I finally got the opportunity to come to combat camera, I jumped on it and went. I love it. It's a great job.
Because of her blue eyes, they thought that might be a curse. So they basically took the little girl out into the woods and left her to die.